And as you sort of think about where we are in terms of trade and tariffs and the tweets, given your decades, multi-decades of experience, how do tensions in trade feel now relative to previous years?
Yeah, my experience is not in political areas or in economics or finance or anything like that. It's in engineering, and I have opinions. But you know what? Two different people might come to different conclusions. Are the tariffs good idea? Are they a bad idea? Trade war, good idea, bad idea? And you know what? Both people would go down a line of thinking that's logical and connected. And that just means that all parties are good no matter which side they believe on, because we don't have a mathematics that proves one thing is better than the other. We just have opinions. I myself tend to fall into the camp that I don't want many tariffs. I don't want even things like subsidies very much. I want the free market to rule, but it comes from my own background. My own background was very much very compatible with growing up in Silicon Valley, where one of 10 counties in the United States where more than half the people speak non-English. Accept all types of people, work with them. I'm into cooperation more than competition. I put on a huge festival and sold 1 million tickets in 1982, 1983 in California, the US Festival, and we put out a whole policy, and we put out programs in books, and we put them in schools in all 50 states. And it was, to think like John Nash, who the movie Beautiful Mind was about. And he wrote papers about cooperation, even in business, can lead to better results than competition. And I'm just into working with others and not seeing they are awful and bad. What is our country called? The United States of America. And states meant countries. We were going to have 13, now 50 little countries, each with their own rules, laws, differences in culture. For example, slavery in some and not in others. That's how the Constitution was made. And so we're like a whole bunch of little countries, but I don't care if wood is manufactured more efficiently in Oregon. I'll buy my wood from Oregon. And we never think there's anything bad about that. Why do we establish borders for countries? I think it's just politicians are in charge of a country and want their own domain to be important. So I'm more of a sharing, be very open in business and open to the world, and try to find ways to cooperate and reach agreements that way. But still,
Steve,
whoever does the best job is going to have an advantage in balance of trade.
You mentioned competition. That word's come up 2 or 3 times in your answers, and that leads me to wonder if competition feels significantly more fierce this time around, and if that's what's sort of driving some of the tensions or the trade. Are you worried about competition from a Samsung, from a Huawei, sort of encroaching on perhaps Apple or some of the big market share?
Oh, I've thought about that and seen, in my head many ways that it could happen and influence Apple negatively. But, I don't say that there's one logical rule that comes to one answer for all. I just happen to be more against competition. We're taught from the time we go to school, my school, right or wrong, my team, right or wrong, and that works your way up to my country, right or wrong. I'm more into thinking and determining what is right and what is wrong. And, also be liked by everyone. Why do you want to be, I'm going to be nasty to you, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to, somehow throw my balance of force against you in a way? That doesn't make friends. We should try to be friends with all the countries of the world that are important, and certainly China's one of them. Now, as far as how it could influence Apple, well, everybody knows that a lot of the tech products, and especially things like smartphones and computers, the manufacturing shifted very much to China and the Shenzhen region, a lot of it in the world. Some of it's moving out to places like Vietnam now, but so what? That let us make products for a lower cost, and everyone who buys an iPhone pays less when it's that way. And so I don't see, why do we have to say, oh my gosh, the balance of trade is going in their direction? That's very common, especially for companies that are at China's level on the development curve, towards being a real major force in the world economies. Look where they've come from.
Steve, you've talked about all being friends, and we note that Tim Cook has had sort of direct dialogue with the president. If you were still involved with Apple or Tim Cook, for that example, what conversations would you be having with the president? Are they productive?
I probably wouldn't, because I don't think with this president any can be productive. I would never raise a child of mine to be like that, to be, I'm the most important person in the world, I'm the only one who is right in my thinking, and disdain everyone else and say bad words about them. I'm not that way, and I would not raise somebody, so I would just ignore it. I wouldn't say anything bad about the president. I wouldn't be nasty to him in his face and you should do this, you should do that. I don't think you can really direct him. I think Tim Cook, though, being a very important economic force in the United States, Apple is. I think Tim Cook actually gets the president's ear and a little bit, and can, warn him, this might be bad in a certain way. For example, it was recently pointed out that if we suffered in a balance of trade with more expensive products, that might benefit Korean company Samsung or something like that. And that's an important thing to think about. That would be scary if we lost sales just because of that.